Somebody mentioned to me when I was during the break, oh, last time I saw you speak, you were talking about brand. Here's something I want to put out to you right now. You have a brand in the marketplace right now. Whether you like it or not, you have a brand. It could be good, it could be bad, I don't know. It's the result of everything you said and everything you've ever done. Is it the brand you want? Because I'll tell you what, one brand you do want in these times of client fatigue is the brand of a leader. You want to be the individual that they see as a leader, as the person in the white lab coat or in the blue suit, in our business, that is there and is a person of authority, knowledge, expertise, and experience. Again, I'll show you my website at the end, my part of the website on CI. It'll show you our brand framework. I don't want to talk about the whole thing right now, but I want to talk about some things that you need to continue to put forward to your client. You need to brand for your client you. There's a bunch of other stuff you need to brand, but you need to brand you. Your background, your knowledge, your experience, your credentials, your leadership capability. Why? Because they are human beings and they will defer to leadership. And again, you don't do it because it's easy. You do it because in most cases it's right. You're working in their best interests, and the more they believe in you, the easier it is for them to listen to you and allow you to help them make the right decision. I don't want to talk about that one. I want to talk about one way for you to show your leadership. And I tell you what, everybody in this room has been proving themselves as a leader for a long time. You can figure out how a lot of you do it, and a lot of you do it different ways. I'm going to collect all those ways on our website, but I'll show you the way I think is most important right now to show leadership. And it's around providing new insight and knowledge to your clients. Insight, not information. There's too much damn information out there, okay? They got Kramer yelling at them. They got everybody on Fox News. They've got every newspaper. They got everything yelling at them, telling them Greece is folding or Portugal is good or this or that. Insight. Your leadership insight is what's important. I don't know how you do that. My view is that what you sell, in the end, is not a product, whether it's wealth or risk. What you sell is the distillation of your wisdom. Okay, Jack was up here earlier doing the moderation. What he is selling is the distillation of 44 years of 24/7 at a job, right? 365 days a year, because that's what this kind of work is. The distillation. All the stuff's going in, and at the top there's some cream. That's what you sell. They don't want to hear everything you read. They want you to distill it down to the essence of what's important to them. That's what a leader does. You have to find out where these insights are from. Case in point, I've just got 3 up here because I like to talk about them. People don't know enough about corporate profits right now. You hear all our mutual fund analysts and the portfolio managers and everybody talking about corporate profits are good. Don't worry about investing right now. They're good. Corporate profits are good. Okay, fine. You hear a ton about emerging markets. You've always heard about emerging markets, how it's going to be the next best thing. Maybe your clients will like to hear about that. But let me give you one that I think is a little different. And I heard an advisor talk to his clients about this, so I did the research on it. And it was about the millennial generation. And he was providing insight around why he thought markets would be good in the long run for them to invest in. And it was all around millennials. I liked it because it was different from other things I've heard. I use it as an example now. It's up to you, and I challenge you to find other different examples of insight you can provide to your clients. And here was his talk on that. He said, okay, here's the deal. For an economy to grow, the future generation must be bigger than the past generation so things can grow. So more things are needed, there's more consuming, and there's more production. Everybody wins. That didn't happen between the boomers and the Gen X, but it is happening in the next generation. Case in point, most of us are boomers, most of the clients are boomers. This is just U.S. stats. 76 million excuse me, boomers in the U.S. Big group, a cohort, much bigger than the silent generation or the greatest generation before them, so things flew. Then what happens, we get into Generation X, less people, there's only 62 million, the economy starts to stagnate a bit, less cars are needed, less houses are needed, things are bad, stock markets are bad. But Mr. and Mrs. Klein, did you know that the next generation coming along, those born in 1982 and forward, 80 million of them, 22% more than the Gen X's, are coming on stream. They are going to need houses, cars, groceries, you name it. And the economy will grow with them. Think about this. It's the demographic argument. This worked for this advisor and his clients. Worked very well. I don't know if it works for you or for others. So my challenge to you is, I don't know if you work with your firm, if you work with suppliers like CI or other ones, or you do your own research, but your job is to find and distill these insights down for your clients as a leader. That's what they expect from you. And again, what we will do, because what I do is I spend my whole life with advisors, I'll find the best ones, and I love this one when I saw it because I saw how well it worked with his clients. I'll find the best insight that we have, that we see, and I'll put it on the website and just say, advisor from Moncton or advisor from Victoria or advisor from Kelowna uses this, this, or this, and you can decide if they'll work for you. But that's your job, is to provide some of that leadership distillation down to them. All right. Let me move on to the next one. That's leadership. Let me move on to the first one on the column there, which is around relationship. And this is around trust and deepening the bond with the client. Okay? You can do a ton of things to deepen the bond with the client, and you've been doing them. And I tell you what, whenever I deal with people who've done a ton of insurance work, like yourselves, as opposed to people who do only wealth, I know I'm already preaching to converted, because I know from the time I spend with people who have been insurance advisors as well as wealth advisors, you've been more involved in the emotional relationship side of their life than a lot of, say, IROC brokers have been, right? So I know I'm preaching the converted here, but relationship continues to be one of the main emotional drivers. If they have a relationship with you, they listen to you. The biggest thing, don't know why this is doing this, but that's fine. The biggest thing we believe you can do in order to drive a deeper bond, to develop a deeper bond with your client, is to do a much more involved client discovery process. That is what the latest research shows. It's, yeah, they like all the other things, and we'll talk about other things, but what people really want to do, what do people want from a relationship? Same thing you want in your marriage. You want to be understood. You want to feel the other person understands you. And to do that, it means that as professionals, we need to do a much deeper discovery. I'm not going to go into discovery now. I was actually going to come today and talk to you about discovery, but we decided to do this one instead. We put together, at CI, and it's on my website, we put together some of the best new discovery techniques for you to use. I know you have your own discovery process that you've used in the past, and you have your KYC and whatever else your firm or whatever uses. But what we do is we go around, we find the best new discovery things that are being used across North America, and we put them together. And then we just have some new ways to walk clients through a discovery process that you can augment your own with, that will not only help you understand them better, it'll help them understand themselves better, and it'll help them understand you better. And that's true discovery when that all happens. But that's the main thing you can do to develop a relationship more, is spend a ton more time on discovery. And I tell you what, I know it's difficult, because when I deal with clients and we try to enhance their discovery process, when I deal with advisors, I mean, they say, well, you know, Doug, I feel a little bit bad going asking these questions. I've dealt with Bob and his family for the last 12 years. I should know all this. Okay, you should, but we don't. So the idea is, how can we go back and do a deeper dive? That's how we put together our tools. Not to say, Bob, I haven't been listening to you for the last 12 years, but Bob, I've got some new tools and some new ways to look at things for both of us to gain a better understanding as to what we really need to do here. And take a look. So I'll tell you what, take a look at those websites when I show them to you. These ones, I don't need to go through with you. You do these, but I'll tell you what. I don't want you to be friends with all your clients, okay? I think that would be the biggest mistake in the world. You can have a couple of friends as your clients, but I don't want you to be friends with your clients. You're the leader. You're not just their friends. But I want you to think about the term friendship qualities. You should be trying to build with your clients these friendship qualities in all cases. And what do friends do? Friends acknowledge special times in each other's lives. They interact socially on an ongoing basis, and they stay connected. Now, you have to continue to do that type of stuff. Now, I was having this talk with an advisor the other day, and I was talking about, well, what have I got here next? I got some other stuff here around these things, okay? So let's say let's say giving out some tickets, okay? Like, let's say you know your client is a huge opera buff, and you know some great opera comes into town, and you give some tickets or you go with them. And I had one of the advisors in a session just like this stand up and say, Doug, I call bullshit on that. I don't really like that. I go, well, what about that don't you like, that you're showing interest in your client's interest? And they say, well, I have an accountant. I've dealt with my accountant for the last 17 years. I've never got anything from my accountant. They're a professional. Why do I have to do it if my accountant doesn't do it? I said, that's fair if you don't think it's professional. I said, how would you feel if your accountant did that, if your accountant actually understood some of your other interests and did something like that for you? And the lady sat there for a second and went, well, I think that would be great. And I said, exactly. It's not because other people aren't doing that we shouldn't do it, because accountants don't do that type of thing and we want to be in a professional like an accountant or a lawyer. No. How would you feel if they did something like that? How would you feel if your accountant or your lawyer really did take an interest in some of your other non-legal or non-accounting issues? How would you feel? Ask yourself that question. You'd feel friggin' great. And you would feel a relationship build with that professional. I'm asking you to do the same thing. We're ahead of the curve on this. I talk to lawyers and accountants on this stuff as well. They have got a long way to go on this. You've already been doing it. Don't stop just because they're not doing it yet. All right, let me move on to purpose. And I tell you what, purpose is the one I talked about when I said optimism is what this is all about. We want our clients to be more optimistic. Not irrationally optimistic, rationally optimistic. Most of them are not. Most people are a little pessimistic on the future right now, especially their own financial future. So what can we do to help them with that? Okay? First thing I think you can do is have a more dedicated commitment to what they feel the future is going to be like. And by that I mean a written one. And whether you use an IPS or some other strategy document, but I'm saying when you can get the clients to contractually agree that this is what they want the future to look like, and this is the way we are building, and this is why we are doing this, and it's some dreams and hopes and optimistic goals in there, they stay committed to it. That's what this is about. Getting them to stay committed to optimism. There's other brain science, and I don't have time to go into today where there's actually going to be some things that we'll put on the website for you around ways to link the prefrontal cortex, which does all the decision making on a logical basis, what's called the ventral striatum, which is another part of the brain that's all about reward and pleasure. Okay? And when you can link real thinking and hard work with reward and pleasure, and they're not normally linked, then you get people really being optimistic about the future. But your job is to build optimism in people. And how you do that can be done in a lot of ways. Okay? Our first one, as we say, is we believe if you use an IPS or some other contractual thing to stay on focus to some of the goals we've talked about. And the thing is, clients have done good work. They have made huge progress with you. You know that. They forget. So what we have, and again, I've got some on the discovery section of the website, but I'll just put it out to you now, is you should be keeping a file, and I mean a real file, so you can talk it over with them and discuss it with them and continue to illustrate with them, a file on their accomplishments and their goals. They have done great things with you. And let's just say right now, if I focused on wealth for a second, that the markets were really terrible. They're not. They're great now, right? But let's say they were really still terrible. You're not going to focus just on the markets with them. That's all they're going to want to focus on. That's all the newspaper's focusing on. That's all the TV's focusing on. You would focus on the other things that they have done to really help their financial situation. And it might be stuff around kids' education. It might be stuff around the risk work you've done with them and getting them fully protected in their life. Or it could be on other future goals that they are working towards and are making progress towards. Your clients are making progress in most cases. We have to continually focus them on that so they keep this optimism up. Because I tell you what, as I said, the newspapers and everything else is bringing them down all the time. Again, you're not here to be the cheerleader and just give them unmitigated optimism and everything's rosy and Pollyannish, but you are here as a leader to show them things can be better in the future. And I'll go back to that book, The Rational Optimist. It had some great arguments just on the reasons to be optimistic about going forward.